Ladies and gentlemen,
keep eye contact.
we are privileged to welcome the real big Y, real big Y, real big Y, real big Y, Lionel McGloin. A crazy mother effer online. You're nuts, man, and I love it.
What's?
Cause he's going all over the city, trolling all these people. Going all over the city, trolling all these people. Going all over the city, trolling all these people. Going all over the city, trolling all these people. Going all over the city, just trolling all these people. Going all over the city, real big, going all over the city, trolling all these people. Going all over the city, trolling all these people. Real big Y.
That was fire.
Sweet.
Still too long.
No, great.
Okay,
Great.
good.
Someone didn't like that. That's what's surprising to me.
They did. Michael's being mean. Welcome to Ami's
Thanks so
house.
much for having me.
Oh my
this is
goodness
my first
gracious.
podcast ever, so
Dude, you are
this is monumental.
you are out of control out there on the interwebs. Welcome. For some reason, I discovered you through the whole seriousness of stuff I was doing online, but you have tons of fun with it. So
Yes.
for those who don't know, Lionel is out there trolling the world of what? How did it start for you? Just take me back. Protests. You're going and messing with protesters. You're doing all
Okay,
these
so
things.
there's
Just take me back.
there's a story. Okay, so my friend and I about a year ago decided to make a YouTube channel together, and we didn't know we were trying many different things, like sort of man on the street pranks.
Yeah.
And we'd gone down to the Trump indictment in Miami, and we were hoping it was going to be the next January 6th. It wasn't, so we were just interviewing. A bit of a bummer. So we were like, we got to be on the scene,
You were
but,
trying to get people to storm something. Like,
you
come
know,
on,
it
guys.
did not,
I gotta make content.
It did not live up to its potential.
Okay.
And
Miami.
so we were asking people, about Trump, whatever, and like trying to find an angle, but it ended up being almost kind of a reporting, almost
Like a Daily Show correspondent.
Yeah, well,
vibe.
there's a risk too. There's A, just like here's what people think, and there's B, like sort of being a whether you're a right wing or left wing troll, but you're doing your trolling from a very kind of political angle that's really saturated. And I just left that feeling so down. It was so hot. Felt so unfulfilled. I'm an entertainer at heart. So it made us think. We're like, no, the thing to do. And we watched this one video of a guy at the French protest, and he was reviewing a baguette. During the protest.
At the protest.
During when everybody was the wages.
Yeah, when like everything was burning around him, and he's like, the baguette, is it's a beautiful buttery taste, and so we just, so we had that idea of like, no, the thing to do would be to ask the random questions, and then when the sort of Israel-Palestine thing erupted, fortunately we were ready with
Such a strange
with
word.
that bit.
Fortunately, yeah.
With that bit,
Yeah.
and
But how was it different than the original thing? Just to clarify, when you first went to that Miami one, you
So
were just asking serious questions.
Trump was like, so what do you think? Who's gonna win? Like Trump, like it's like that kind of stuff because you're just trying to find a way to
engage.
and you're learning as you go about what what you want your take to be, and then but trolling from a political angle was never on either side was never something was not my calling.
You didn't want to be one of these Daily Show tools who's trying to make Republicans and or Democrats look bad.
Yeah, it's not my calling.
You don't want to be a Daily Wire guy or like a Daily Show guy.
And it wasn't absurd enough either. It's too kind of grounded in just reality. This kind of boring conversation
In an angle.
Angle, yeah.
And your angle is silly.
The people are so obsessed, but it's just like how absurd would it be to ask about starting out with these kind of. Would you rather be at your sticky and then going to just asking about people's sex lives? And,
So if anyone hasn't seen your work, you'll go to these very hot, heated, serious pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel protests, and just ask very non sequitur questions about their sex life, about their work life.
Should we pull up a clip so people can?
Yeah. We'll show a clip.
Yeah,
we'll show a clip right here.
Yeah, and we'll pull it up. Should we watch it now? Or
Yeah, let's watch one.
Yeah. We can get his Instagram page up, and then we'll roll it and just watch one and react to it. Because the thing that you do that is so interesting to me is like I find one of two things happen. I guess it depends on which group you're trolling.
Yeah.
But sometimes it like the worst thing that's happened is in a serious way after October 7th. From our angle, we're both from we're Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
And have a strong connection to Israel.
Yeah.
Very pro-Israel. But the humanity in all of this has been very, very lost.
Yes.
Especially towards you see people ripping down posters and people so they've lost themselves.
All right, so which one do you like?
Yeah, if you go to Reels, I mean, let's do one maybe where someone really responds a bit, maybe goes along with it.
So in the spirit of a Late Show or a Conan, we'll set this clip up, and this is you at a pro-Palestinian protest, and then something interesting happens.
Let's go here.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Let's play a clip. Roll a clip, Michael.
Yeah, we're just gonna watch it.
Oh, you need some volume.
Yeah, you gotta go.
You might want
Yeah, I'll start it again. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Conan.
This one, I always like when people go along with it.
Yeah. So let's roll a clip, and we'll just watch.
But you can also show the one where the guy.
Israel should be dissolved. I don't think it has a right to exist.
And guys with what name pound it the best?
I don't know. I think girls pound it the best, honestly.
Really? Or do you like pegging or just any scissoring?
I mean, if you want to peg, then peg, you know?
How many girls end in have some kind of strap on?
I mean, I don't know if I can put a number on it, but I'd say a large majority, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Any tips for an aspiring Peggy?
Patience and lube.
Oh my God. Okay. I think that sums it up. In terms of everything, I don't even know what to say, but I will say one thing that it does that is so fascinating to me.
I want to break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is from the way I see it is you throw people on the positive side of what comes out of what you do. You throw people back into oh, we're all playing this theater game and they're acting like monsters. In my opinion, supporting it's weird to see someone who's I think Israel should be destroyed. Oh, and then you humanize everybody in this really weird way that throws them back into themselves out of this spell they're under. And on the negative side of things, people get really pissed off, which I want to hear about too. But let's take an example of someone who just I'll play this game.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Michael, I'd like to hear. Oh, yeah, tell me.
Wait, what was the question?
The question was
Very nice eyes, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know. You know what? Just rewind. What's your reaction to that?
No, yeah, I think it's that. For me, what gets me is, if someone really means what they say at these rallies, they shouldn't be able to think about anything else. Mm-hmm. If there's a genocide that they truly care about, there should be no other thoughts.
Right.
And to me, what's so funny is how quickly they snap back into their regular life. And to me, what that exposes is this really doesn't have 100% of their attention. It's really just another thing they're doing.
Yeah.
And amongst a lot of other things in their lives.
Lionel, what is your deeper understanding of what's going on?
That's an interesting perspective. For me, I actually do think that, I think whether we're talking about, Israel, Palestine, or I've never, or, Democrat, Republican, I think I actually like that it's acknowledging, I think, with the way we are in social media and stuff, it's I actually think we're so identified. Even people will be like, oh, I thought you were on my team, or I thought you were on this team, to me, because they're so used to people having an agenda that it's whatever even if someone's saying something, that you disagree with or is heinous, but that there's still people and you can have kind of an absurd, and just the absurdity of having that conversation more than anything, just completely out of context,
But the people who get really angry,
yeah,
that you're trivializing the moment or something, in a way you think they're more authentic, Michael, right? Because they're oh no, they're staying on point. They're not taking the bait from this troll.
Yeah, I think I like the ones like you showed us more than the ones where people get pissed off.
You like the ones that people are happy. And
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You're saying though those people who are more, from your perspective, are more committed, who don't play along because clearly their attention is on the serious matter.
But then also I think. It seems performative also when they get mad at you. It doesn't always seem so authentic. So it belies a little bit of what they're trying to project onto the world also.
Yeah, I think not always, but I think not always actually. I think if it's we're unable to, I think if I want something done in life, being very just solely angry about it and instead minded, I find is not a way to kind of bring people into me just in general, so. When I see that, I think that's more of a reflection actually for me when they get angry that they're acting out other things, and if someone can have a belief and then shift, it's not like they're being emotionally hijacked by the.
Who's got a better sense of humor, the pro-Pallies or pro-Israels?
Come on. In the very beginning, I would say, I mean, there hasn't been a long time since there's been an Israel rally, first of all. But
You mostly are at the pro-Palestinian ones?
yeah, just because there aren't many Israel rallies. They don't exist.
Bad
Y'all need
for
to organize more, you know?
Yeah.
Need to,
So come on, sense of humor-wise.
Get out of there. Sense of humor, I would say definitely people were more down a joke originally at the Israel one, but as far as talking about pegging and wanting to really...
Like dirty stuff, for
People
sure.
will laugh, but as far as people really getting into saying wild shit and making out in the protests, I gotta say,
Yes.
in the Palestinian protests,
You get more
people
ass.
are wiling out.
Yeah, because you're kissing people. You're like, let's kiss.
Yeah.
To like a 65-year-old woman.
Yeah.
He's so committed. You're so committed. It's unbelievable. Okay. But one thing I will say, and this is super controversial, but I'll just lay it down. One thing that I think is, and I'm proudly stake my position.
Yeah.
I'm pro-Israel to the core,
Sure.
and I think if you're supporting Hamas in any way or resistance by any means necessary, you're a monster. And I think it's amazing when you can pull that spell off of people. Like, I think a lot of people are under sort
Yeah.
of a spell, and when you ask a silly question like, "Would you rather be itchy or sticky?" It reminds almost them of like, "Oh, I'm human." There's this really
You don't want to kill, anyone.
This is powerful
anytime,
moment.
You know, I mean, and the reality is there's a lot of people across the thing who really are, of the mind of like, we should kill everybody from the other group. And
Right.
it's like being just an American, you know, it's great to,
You're impartial.
relieve some of that tension, which from the outside seems,
You're not an other to them. You can come in
Yeah,
impartially.
yeah. It's just like whatever, just like mess around and just say, we don't have to, it's not that deep.
But what I will say, and this is as an observer, even if I was impartial, which I'm not,
Yeah.
is that there's pro-Israel demonstrations and there's pro-Palestinian demonstrations. And not every pro-Palestinian demonstration turns violent, but every demonstration that turns violent is pro-Palestinian. For the most part.
Yeah.
Lionel.
No.
In other words, like if I would be more worried, like you often see the ones kicking down Grand Central, and I know we don't want to go us versus them, but I just happen to be like, when you're at a pro-Israel protest, it's not going to turn violent because there's not like an anti-American sentiment there or any of that stuff. But the people kicking down Grand Central or ripping down flags, or the ones who get angry with you and like,
Yeah.
are willing to deck you in the face. I imagine at a pro-Israel, people just get prudish, like, ew, go away, ew. But
Yeah.
at this one, some people are ready to throw down. Now, whatever, I said that, but I have to say, I don't disagree with it. Anybody?
I've never been to a pro-Palestinian. I haven't been to either, actually. I've never been to pro-Israel or pro-Palestinian since October 7th, so I don't even know like what they're like, what the vibe's like.
And I know that's like a crazy thing I just said, and it's like throwing gasoline on the fire, but I can't disagree with it.
Well, what do you want from Lionel?
I'm just curious.
No, I
because he's
I hear you.
he's amongst both
I hear you.
sides, so I'm
I-
interested in his perspective.
I hear you.
Me
I
too.
think I'm naturally reluctant to.
What did we lose?
Um,
Did we lose a light? Oh, the backlight here. Maybe it came out of the outlet back there behind you. Just see if it plugs in. Yeah, you're naturally reluctant to what?
yeah, I think I'm diving into the weeds. I think that's probably in my experience when people have gotten most angry. That has been at a rally. But my perspective really, it's more of an experimentation when I think about it than ever being like.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you get a lot of views if people sort of get upset or thrown out. Like that's inevitable,
Cool.
and I think that they've,
Meaning that's a desired outcome for the sake of like virality.
yeah,
views.
I mean, like, so like, it's not like I'm so opposed if someone like my most viewed video is when someone immediately just smashes the mic and then someone else just walks away. So that there is that, but I always, it's staying out of the like. Just completely of being like.
I guess my question. I guess
yeah.
what I'm gearing at towards you is like, given as someone who messes with both constituencies,
Yeah.
both groups, in an effort to throw them off, kind of piss them off, troll them in a fun way, being
Yeah.
silly, I would be worried much more on one side than the other and say that's just my opinion of it. That they'd be more willing to like throw down and get offensive that would lead to being angry. But I don't know. You're there. So
Or are you asking like because you're interesting because you're such a neutral observer,
Yeah.
which is like kind of rare. So as a neutral observer, have you come to any conclusions about the broader situation just based on your interactions with the supporters on each side?
I would just say openly, and at any protest, if anyone was from Israel was like, my cousin's a hostage, or someone from Palestine's like, my whole family's in Gaza, that's like, okay, have a nice day. You know what I mean? You don't do the bit. It tends to be,
Oh, okay, yeah.
you know what I mean? That's one ethos.
you have your
just-
principles.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you could be so psychopathic, to like people
Mess with someone like that.
directly. You know what I mean? If someone's like crying, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, and they're directly affected anyway. No, I would definitely say, yeah, at the Palestinian rally, I observed more people yelling. I will say, like, for
Yelling's bad.
Yeah.
Yelling's bad.
definitely like just like more people less down to like laugh it off. I will say that there was more when I did go to the March for Israel. There's more a political thing, but it was definitely much more people who were like, we should kill everybody.
At the Israel ones.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that's
Saying we should- everyone in
going,
Gaza.
like destroy all of them, kill all of them. Like a lot of stuff I wouldn't include because like
Interesting.
I mean, there's one guy, but then you go to Palestine and you'll get someone who's like, Hitler should finish the job or something terrible. Make sure you don't quote that out of context.
It's a good title.
That's a good opener. Hitler should finish the job. Ladies and gentlemen, Lionel.
Lionel's final solution.
Yeah, so all that, I mean,
Oh, you see a lot of Jews saying we should kill them all.
Yeah, that exists.
Yeah.
That exists.
Yeah, and like, and also it's like very fascinating because like high school girls, which is always like, wow, it's very intense belief. I mean, people will say stuff in high school. The same guy, the last person Palestinian who was like had that kind of intent was also younger. So there's the brashness of youth,
Yes.
and you don't want to
Judge
every person that does that's young. I mean, I've certainly would say crazy things when I was 18. So yeah, it was both of those things are very not having history or relation to either of these places are very very intense, and that's where the comedy comes in. It's just like
To relieve that.
yeah,
What I think also something you point out is something I don't think exists on both sides is like a casual observer won't go to an Israel rally just to sort of march along and see what's up and kind of get behind it for fun.
that's true.
But it does seem like on the pro-Palestinian side, people just are getting gobbled up. And so the people you talk to are usually great examples of someone that just got gobbled up and doesn't really
There's definitely
have
and
Who
there's
don't know what's going on, you
Yeah.
mean?
who
Or
don't
just
know
like
or
going
don't
with it?
care.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
there's protest
yeah.
theater. There's
Yeah.
the way people. This goes back to a bunch of movements that have happened in America over the couple years. Like, there's the dress, there's the talking, there's the posting on social media, and like the sort of artsy black and white photos and whatnot.
So on January 6th, you were watching it and we were like, damn, I wish I was there.
You mean?
January 6th.
On January 6th.
Oh no, I wasn't. We weren't doing YouTube videos then, But yeah, in
So-
retrospect, that would have been a great video. It would have been hilarious to be in there, being like, "Would you rather be itchy or sticky?" Like,
So where were you
know,
on January 6th?
I was in LA actually.
You're trying to bid him down.
I was in LA.
Well, no, before all this got started, where were you?
So before all this got started, I lived after college. I studied economics in college, and I moved to LA because I was like, everyone's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, you know what, I want to work in Hollywood, right? And so I moved out to LA and was doing music, like acting, not really getting anywhere.
Wait, do you mind if I ask what year this was?
This was 2019. I graduated college 2019, and yeah, just drove out to.
We're 55. I'm just kidding.
I feel 55 when you say
feel
that.
that.
How old are you guys?
30s, 37.
37.
You guys got kids. You got
Yeah.
this podcast studio. You got the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's life. We're adulting.
Yeah. No, but something we talk about sometimes is what our lives would have looked like if YouTube and TikTok and all that existed when we graduated
Sure.
college.
It
Our
kind of
lives-
did. Not TikTok, but we just
None of it-
YouTube's been there all along.
but not in the same. It didn't feel like a real career option.
Right.
Like it seems to you to
That's true.
feel
Yeah.
like,
It's an interesting balance now because now you have to compete with people who don't necessarily have talent because the barrier to entry is so low.
That's good and bad.
It's good and bad.
Saturation, but
But there's opportunities, and
just have to
people
out-hustle.
people are so online.
Yeah.
But I do feel like with some of the stuff, but it's hard to know like without the Lonely Island or whatever, could you make these songs and these videos? Like
Right.
people were the original kind of pioneers and innovators.
What made you think you could go out there and compete?
I just always believed that. I always just loved, had a certain ability to kind of have fun on camera and connect with people.
It's a good answer.
And be a little fearless.
Yeah, and how was your sensibilities expressed pre this TikTok street stuff? Like, what were you putting out?
A lot of comedy rap, like very absurd, like comedy rap music.
And you were releasing on YouTube? Like,
Yeah,
that's
all
out?
on YouTube. But it's like, you can't really grow just off YouTube. But I don't think I hadn't found the way that I could do sort of Instagram and TikTok without it feeling cringe to me. Because like a lot of the stuff I would see, I'd be like, it's not funny to me, So I think the way I justified it to myself was like, I'm just going to put myself in very extreme environments, and therefore that will feel like it has intrinsic value or meaning, just to like be overcoming the sort of fear and intensity of it. And so I think that's partly why this bit worked, because it was like, okay, this is going to be an overcoming of a thing.
There's an Ali G sort of thread.
That's
to
like
it.
a huge inspiration for sure. Yeah.
You know how he's him do this, him do that, technology, but he's like in an absurd real situation, and he's in this character. And I feel like what you're doing is in that school, in that tradition.
And you feel like there's like an emotional arc to that, to your character being in these places. It's not just a hook. There's like a story there.
I mean, the goal, yes. I mean, within the context of a short video, you can't really tell a story, but we are, and when I say we, I say my best friend who does not want to be named.
Yeah, I get it.
He's smart to not want to go. If the ship sinks, he's gonna be able to, get the life.
Your secret
lifeboats. But he's a key
daddy. We'll call him daddy.
Daddy. Yeah, so daddy and I, but hopefully. I mean, one goal is like, we're negotiating with a media company to make a YouTube show with them that they would fund, and you're going across the country. And that, when you're in the 10-minute video format, even that's enough time to tell more of a story and understand like what character am I playing when I'm going to a crypto conference. Because also realizing for me, just vlogging, be like, "What's up, guys? We're gonna do this." It just feels weird. 100%. So if I'm like family, or like whatever, and if I really lay on like, no, I'm just play the character of YouTube, it feels more natural. And then I have like certain cowboy characters or very progressive characters.
Yeah, I love those too. I don't know if you've seen those videos
Yeah,
yet,
I
but
haven't
he
seen
does.
those yet.
So there's the street
one?
stuff.
Can we watch one?
Yeah, just pull up. Can you do the woke protester across the street from a bunch of?
Yeah.
What's that called?
I went to a anti-migrant protest,
and he said, you go so woke, and people believe it.
People believe it.
And it got so one of the other things you do. Yeah, I find that the same thing, by the way, while you're searching for it, just to say that I'm an
It's okay that illegal immigrants attack cops.
Oh, this guy.
It's okay for them to be here. They provide to our economy. We need to make all of our schools shelters.
Where will the kids go?
The children can learn on Zoom. No more borders. One world government. Spreading
I'm
hate.
showing my gay pride, and I love Donald Trump. Yeah, you got a problem with that bitch?
Donald Trump hates you. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. Donald Trump thinks you're nothing.
Is that a gay Republican?
Who
are you talking to?
That guy's everywhere in the
Oh,
city.
you see him everywhere.
Yeah,
You know that guy.
He's like an alt-right fixture.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm saying, is he a gay Republican? Is that what he is?
Yeah, he's like, I'm celebrating my gay pride, and I love Donald Trump.
What if he's trolling and you're trolling and you both don't know? You're like two undercover agents.
Well, the
funniest thing I've ever
the funny thing there was that there was a woman, an NYPD someone with an NYPD hat woman, and she recognized me from Instagram.
Oh.
And so these people knew I was a comedian, but they still got triggered.
You're saying
You're
saying a cop knew.
Some person there that
She was like pro-police.
because it was like pro-police because his whole idea
And she knew you were messing?
no, she didn't get triggered. She knew. Yeah, a couple people were like, "Oh, I've seen this dude's Instagram." Or whatever.
So we just met the showrunner for Impractical Jokers.
Oh, nice.
You know Practical Jokers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I asked him, these guys are super famous. Like,
Yeah.
give me a break. You're going to the mall and people don't know that they're doing a prank
said
show.
something interesting.
And yeah, he said they've had people who they're doing the prank and the target looks at them like, yo, you remind me exactly of this show. Have you ever heard of Impractical Jokers?
Yeah.
And they break down the whole show for them, and then all
Because I
four of
think
them
in
come
the
out.
real world, out of context, they get thrown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so even this woman, even she might have known who you are, and still.
No, she didn't get thrown. No, but she would point out, she was telling people like, "Hey, this guy's a comic. This guy's a comic." But people
okay. So
still
she-
were Totally.
We're saying they were like,
It's very.
they-
I mean, people
couldn't believe it.
People that are there gathered. That's part of it. Is like
Someone was trying to out you or like
people
don't-
are in a hot fuse, but you can still, if you commit to it enough, like even on Halloween, I remember I was dressed as one of my John Buck, who's inspired by the movie Midnight Cowboy.
Okay.
Like the modern day kind of gigolo cowboy living in New York. And if you commit,
We've seen them all the time.
if you commit to the accent long enough in the character, like even on Halloween, people will believe you.
When we went to VCon, it was a similar kind of feeling when you're just so committed in the zone.
Yeah, it was a wild experience. You know
Gary V, right? Gary Vaynerchuk?
No, I don't.
Gary V, VaynerMedia? Oh boy.
I should.
Yeah, big online guru influencer.
How did he get so far without knowing who Gary V is?
I don't know, but he's
Wild.
like, you've seen him, he's like, talks like this, right? Like NFTs, right? Does that ring a bell? Look, I don't care if people don't know him. I love anonymity, right? But he's like a big
It doesn't
online.
sound like him.
He's like a big online influencer.
I'm sure.
Guru,
I recognize
and he
him,
put this big conference, and I got viral on TikTok. One of the early impressions I was doing, was Gary V videos.
Nice.
Which took me all the way to his conference. I opened the conference with him, but I
Yeah.
stayed in character for long periods as like the Gary V impersonator guy going around messing with people. But yes, when you commit at such a level, everybody buys in, even though they know you're joking.
Yeah.
And they don't see you. There's, like you said, like going just as myself, hey, I'm here at VCon, want to hang out with everybody. It just feels toolish and weird.
Yeah.
So like putting that mask on, it's like a superpower.
And like you said, everyone's performing anyway in a certain way. So
Yeah.
what's one more performance?
For sure.
Can you talk a little bit? You mentioned something about when you went down to Miami. Like you said something about being a troll, as if you like study the art of trolling.
Yeah.
Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Because you're kind of a professional troll.
I guess I'm a professional troll. Yeah, I mean, I would say I would say far and away, like studying, either listening to a podcast or studying, Sacha Baron Cohen would be like Ali G show. Like, how does he formulate the questions? So it's like he's talking to the second guy that landed on the moon, and the whole thing was like, was the moon landing real? But he's gonna go, was the moon real? Is the moon real? It's that next level of stupidity and absurdity.
Is the moon real?
And
How is is the moon
Has
real?
the moon real? Yeah, exactly.
Could you just write that down? Is the moon real?
So the idea, and one thing that he said was like, you want to play someone in that, if you're going to that world, you want to play someone so dumb that if they were any dumber, like they couldn't survive.
Right.
And that's hard to commit to sometimes. And sometimes you like want more humor in your jokes. So all that stuff is kind of figuring out. And then sometimes it's knowing at the anti-migrant protests, just knowing exactly the words that are going to trigger people.
One thing that's okay, I think, in like that it's noble is like your goal is funny.
Yeah.
I've done some of these like undercover things recently where like I go and like ask people questions and it's like satire, but it's not to be funny. You're kind of trying to expose something, but it's more agenda driven.
Yeah.
It feels ickier, but what you're doing is like, it doesn't really matter how they feel because at the end of the day, you're not serious and they're just buying into it. So that's the joke of like how
the
you're
good
breaking
thing
it.
about that, which you realize, like putting a Snapchat filter on the video, so it seems like kind of found footage, user uploaded footage.
Yeah.
But if you read that comment on them anti-migrant, they're all like, you have a mental illness, you have sick, this guy migrant, like 80%. I don't know if I get many followers from that video because 80% of people are interacting
think you're real
in a way, thinking that, I'm the cause of the downfall of society.
Well,
so
that brings us to the most recent highlight you had, which I don't know if that was this week, that Ben Shapiro was reviewing one of your videos. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's done a couple because
and he thinks you're real.
I might out myself from getting on his thing anymore.
Oh.
I've had a couple with him.
Oh.
No, his producer
knows.
His producer follows my page, so they put like 4 on there.
Okay.
But it's kind of like they just do that. It's manufactured outrage, and that's like what a lot of society. You know what I mean? That's
maybe the producer, but when they played for him like as a blind reactor, at least the first one, he's like, yeah, that's clearly something wrong with society. Maybe they're playing along with you. I got the maybe
I
Who
guess
knows?
you're accusing more the industry of it than Ben Shapiro himself, maybe.
I just
like,
came across a
producers
clip.
know
Ben Shapiro
doing.
can do his thing, but it's like he's
I came
seen
across-
4 of my
He
videos.
knows.
So it's like, no, but they're just saying, but it's like, you just show it out of context. And it's like,
interesting.
and then you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with society? But that's just that his business
Oh.
is reacting to liberal people being crazy. So
I'm with you
even
on
if
that,
someone's doing satire, they're going to put it out there. I'm not hating on him. That's his hustle. Good for him.
I just thought when he's in on the bit, he like will react. That is so well done, as opposed to
That's
like
true.
that guy's crazy. Like there was a woman who put out a thing like, dressed as a fake social justice warrior. I just
Yeah.
read Jordan Peterson's book, so I'm gonna just discover what's all bad about him. She snaps her finger. She goes, "What happened?" And she looks great. She cleaned her room.
Yeah.
And he go, and like usually when he reacts to videos, he reacts to them in their entirety of what their
Right.
intention is.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that maybe you were so good. I just saw it
Well,
as a
I
short
did like
clip.
a job interview on Zoom where I was a woke
Yeah.
protester, and I was like, can you name one Black inventor? Like, what are you doing for Black History Month? Things like that. That's
the best.
And he was like, yeah, don't hire woke people. But it's like,
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe that was more
that-
manipulative. Or more
that's
like,
his hustle.
Yeah.
I'm not hating. I don't like
Yeah.
people.
I guess I
it's-
just didn't know, but you're
it's
saying
the
you did.
online game,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
saying you
and
did
like, you know, I don't know if the producer's gonna put.
I recommend you watch
keep-
that one too.
keep
He
putting
goes
my-
on an interview
keep
as a
putting-
woke
yeah.
person and
keep
just
putting my
out-wokes
videos
people.
on there.
I saw
you know.
them. Can you walk us through how the whole process of setting that up? Do you, like, you're literally like sending in resumes?
Yeah,
and, like,
sending resumes.
How long does that take? Because I'm like, I apply to jobs and like it's
Real
a
jobs.
full time job to apply.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
jobs.
I mean, I think we are applying to like. I mean, that job was for like an on the street canvasser, right? To like get donations. It's already like.
So like an easy interview setup process.
Yeah. So like that's like that would be.
Do you have a fake resume?
No, the funny thing is the first time we did it, we used my real name because like my collaborator submitted it, but I was like, why would we put my real name? Because you don't want them to be able to look you
No,
up
exactly.
and like, take it
So
down.
just to provide context, I don't know what we skipped around. You are going and setting yourself up and getting interviews and then trolling the entire team that's interviewing you.
Zoom interviews, yeah.
Zoom interviews.
Job
So
interviews.
one of the ones you did a.
So I did one as a sort of woke protester. Unfortunately, it happened to be a group interview, and he mentioned, I was just like, what are you guys doing for Black History Month? I was like, we don't have plans. So I was upset. I was like, name one Black inventor, and then eventually they kick you off.
Yeah, name one Black inventor. Name one. I'm sorry, I just have to know if this is the right environment for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's incredible. And then the other one was like a.
So one was like doing coke in the middle of the interview.
I saw that one.
That was.
I thought that was
guy was
staged.
great.
I thought that was staged.
No, I mean people always accuse that, but it's not staged. I mean, you can see he has. I don't want to mention his company, but you could see someone who'd worked at his company had used that. But actually, the guy from the woke interview, he reached out to me and was like, "That was me in the interview. Well played." He tracked down the clip.
Yeah,
he was
like,
like,
that is, yeah. What did they say about
good
that?
job. He was like, check out this Sacha Baron Cohen character. Where that character reminded me of the one he did in this.
That's
movie.
Do you know
awesome.
Tua Pre?
So yeah. So that we were drawing
Asaf.
from like we definitely
Is that the guy who's doing it in the car?
Yes.
yeah in the
No.
car, the
He's like, I'm not ordering
drive-thru.
food. No. Fish sandwich, please. I'm here. I don't even. So
He's the master. At
he's
it.
the master.
Yeah.
He's the master.
I discovered him in early TikTok days, and we were in touch. We were like DMing. I'm like, dude, you are killing me. He's
Yeah.
like has these these emo people.
He's so
like,
good.
no,
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 he's
fish
so good.
sandwich.
I know fish sandwich, please. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm not eating. And it's like incredible. And that's what
He's so
similar.
good. No, he's
the master.
no. He had like our first two were very successful, and our last two were less. But it's like he's so good at those. So we definitely were looking at his videos.
No, he's great. He's great. It's
But
all
the
again.
Coke one was
There's room
funny.
for everyone to try this stuff.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
can just steal.
What were you gonna say about the Coke one?
Oh yeah, it's always funny because people don't think because that guy he just would not leave the call. You're just like trying to do anything to get him to leave the call.
What are you feeling when things start to get awkward? Most people feel something and then run the other way.
Yeah.
What goes through your like mind and body when this is happening?
Yeah, like going in, there's always like either we're like, oh my god, this is so funny, we're cracking up laughing, and I'm like, how am I going to be able to keep a straight face doing this? And but then in the moment, when you're about to get on the call, you get a lot of adrenaline, even though it's just a random person.
Your heart just
on the other line. It's so against like a lot of doing the online thing is like I'm actually very kind of amenable person. Like I'm a peacemaker. Usually you're always
not confrontational in real
yeah,
life.
you're trying to like de-escalate, any situation, your first instinct to de-escalate. But when you're doing this stuff, you got to be like, it's really the opposite. You really want to escalate the situation. And then for the same with interview, normally a job interview is something that's like, this is the most important thing. You're nervous because you want the job. And sometimes you're like, damn. And, sometimes you do think morally, like, am I just wasting these people's time? But then it's like, you just got to live your life. And do
you
it.
are.
You
It's
are.
the best.
You
For the
are.
sake of comedy.
Do you ever
You are.
fantasize about getting the job and then showing up and working for like several months
That's a
in
good-
character?
That's your mind.
That's a good, funny question.
Like I guess I'm just like
I've been here
a
5
street
years.
guy
It's
now.
all part of the bit.
That would be fun. Yeah, it's amazing what people will be taught. Like I did one guy, I think it was like pegging. He's like, so tell me about yourself, like whatever hobbies. I was like, yeah, I'm like a team player. Like I've gotten really into pegging recently.
Has anyone gone all the way through? Okay, so we'll call you back. Thank you so much for your time.
No. Because
You have to. You
I mean, honestly, and then recently someone kicked us off so early. So it's like it's it's a really tough balance to be like, you have to be over the top for it to land, like the Tua Pre, like he's so extreme, but somehow he manages to keep people on the call,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not eating.
Yeah.
He's like looking at the side.
He's incredible.
I love those too also because I'm thinking about the interviewer on the other side. It humanizes them a little because you're like, like you get what's going on, but you're kind of performing as an employee right now.
Behaving.
But clearly you've seen videos like this. Like you have some understanding of what's happening. And
also,
like,
you also have to play it just subtle enough that the guy may think I have to behave here before I'm certain that this is I don't want to like, there's the HR world of like, I can't be nasty to this person lest he really have an issue. Maybe he is that woke. Maybe we just have to be, we don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
And like, you're playing on that fear too. So everyone has to be like,
that's true.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
We're all gay rights, pegging, whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
do you ever worry about karma?
It's a big question.
Like coming back as an interviewer?
Coming back as an interviewer.
Like your media team gets so big, and then you keep trying to interview people, and they just F with you.
That's
they'd get the
actually
job
pretty
if they did
funny,
that.
Giving people, they might, right? Well, I remember, I would say the karma and all that. I do feel with all this stuff, where sometimes you're like, it's partly about finding things artistically that fill me up, because being in troll, being an antagonist, it will weigh on you.
Mm-hmm.
So finding things but I mean, there's so much good to do. And, when I've crashed certain environments, I'll look at the train and just see, no one's smiling or laughing. And it's like, that's society. So therefore society needs some disruption that's fun. And then you get positive responses for people. And then,
do you have other forms of like agreeable comedy you do that's more like
Not
not
so-
at someone's expense?
not so much comedy, but, we'll shoot short films or, that I never release on the internet, or make music or things like that. Just things that are,
that don't require the sacrificial lamb.
they're just for fun. It's funny. I shot a music video the other day and I was like, wow, this feels so easy, because there's no one that's going to come at me. I was like, this is so, like, there's a plan,
Yeah.
and it's all scripted.
Right.
And so I'm just going to relax and like tell the story.
Wait, so you're making short films and music videos that you don't show to anyone?
Short films, I did just because there's just fun things we want to shoot, just because I want to always maintain, like, my goal is to be an actor. So I always want to make sure I'm acting.
But you're shooting. You have like, do you have any videography shooting background for that kind of creative?
No,
stuff?
I'm not filming them. So I'm just writing and acting in them. So
so it's to work your acting muscle.
yeah, and just to do it for fun. That's what I mean. But literally just creating creative fulfillment, and then it makes it easier to be like, okay, now we're just gonna be a complete goofball and mess around. But I would
see those shorts.
Yeah, me too.
part
That's
of the YouTube thing that we started was like, these short films that you got to invest money. It's like, then it takes 5 months to get ready to make it. And for like a 10-minute movie, 6 months,
Michael's a screenwriter.
couple
He knows this
thousands
deal.
of
Yeah,
dollars to
said
make a
that.
short film, to submit to festivals, to hope these like gatekeeping people, and they're going to ask you like, what do you identify as, and all this stuff. We're like, all right,
troll.
there's no chance, like the chance of me pulling through. And so when I
doing it
moved back
without
to
that
New York,
pressure?
I was like, and you're making artsy stuff. So when I came back to New York, I was like, I just want to make entertainment. Like, I don't want this. I want it to be not like, hey, would you please watch my short film? I want to be like, no, people are going to want to watch this and actually become fans. Unfortunately, that is what's happened. But I was like, entertain people first, and then kind of earn the right for these,
Have you seen Joel Haver?
No,
on YouTube?
I feel
Do you know
bad I
about
don't know all
him?
these references.
Oh, so I write these. I was telling you I write these kind of weird stories. So someone
Yeah.
recommended him to me. He's got 2 million followers on
Nice.
YouTube, and he makes very, very strange,
Yeah.
short. I don't want to call them films, but like short videos, like
Yeah,
5-minute videos. And he took up a goal this year to make 10 feature-length films in 1 year.
Wow.
And he's on his second, and he started a whole other YouTube channel of how he makes it and what his budget is.
Yeah.
And it's so inspiring. So what he's doing, it's really cool.
Feature length is by what? Like, what's the minimum?
Hour and a half. He's
Jeez.
made
80
2
minutes,
hour-and-a-half
probably,
movies this year so far.
Monologues. What it was. Just
And
Two
he,
guys in a cafe, just
No,
getting real.
they're
No,
not.
I'm
They're
kidding.
no, they're scenes,
VFX.
fully scripted. But if you saw them in a theater, you would be like, this is low budget. I can't believe. But it works on YouTube.
Yeah.
The tone of it works.
You dropped
But
an hour and a
how?
half video on
Logistically?
YouTube.
Hour and a half. So he works through it. So first of all, he has many years of experience shooting.
Okay.
So he has a team. and he goes through for like $10,000, $6,000. He can put stuff together. So for this last one, he got this guy Blake Rosier on TikTok. He takes people. So this last one, he employed this guy to be the main actor who has a few million TikTok subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who whenever I see him, I'm like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Why isn't he? Why isn't
casting
Judd
from
Apatow
Tik-
calling
from
him?
the interweb.
Yeah. So this guy brings all of his followers in. He's an amazing talent that
Yeah.
nobody's using besides Joel Haver.
Yeah.
And so you have a great actor who costs nothing, probably, and brings in a ton of value.
Yeah.
He uses cheap cameras. He uses like free sets, and he's doing it.
To me, the scale
it's
is
amazing.
what's hard to believe. 10 just seems like, why do that to yourself? Just do one.
Yeah.
Because 10, like the amount of editing and re-editing.
Make two
and-
really good ones.
You know,
that's kind of.
I think what he's
so hard.
I think what he's doing is saying is like you're saying we have these constructions of what it takes to make a movie.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna break all that down.
These notions,
I can
yeah.
make 10. You think it takes a year to plan? I'll plan it in 6 weeks.
One of the things I've always felt sympathy for like filmmakers and actors is like from the music side, like these days you can make a song here and release
Yeah.
it in a week, less.
Yeah.
And if a song is done and like its tangible, full, complete, realized form is finished.
Yeah.
But if you're a screenwriter, actor, director, it's all reliant on such a larger production. And it sounds like what he's saying is you still can do it with these
Yeah.
same parameters. It's doable. But like in a way, I appreciate what you're doing too, which is like I'm executing and expressing something.
Yeah.
You should release them in a different way. But I get why maybe it's just for your sake.
No, I mean, I mean, part of it is like just for now. It's like I feel a way about my music that's not comedic. It's like just for right now, I'm letting people enjoy. People respond to one thing I'm doing, which I think is being absurd, saying things that people won't say, going into these environments. I want to just be like,
lean into them.
Yeah, this is what I'm bringing you in towards, and then over time you can say, that's what I want to do. But recently I was I had a callback for a play in New York, and it was interesting. Like I made it to the finals. I did a great job, and I love acting, but like I didn't get the thing. And it's that thing of like you could do the best possible job, and have them say you did a great job. It was just a fit with the rest of the cast, and so it's not the right thing for you,
Well, there's
and you get paid $1,000 a week, so it's not, it's a tough
there's something
life.
to be said about also like allowing things in the Rick Rubin's model of art is like, for the sake of itself, making it is the end goal, not it getting into Cannes.
Yeah.
Like I don't need this to go through now some gatekeeper channel. It's successful because I made it.
Right.
And so like any short film you've made is already a success because you brought it into the world. It's like, who cares what the child accomplishes? The child now exists. It's
It brings a ton of integrity, I think, also to the other stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
Where it turns that more into like an art form. I
Yeah,
love that. I think that's really cool.
Because that's what I've tried to be like. I want to do characters. I haven't always. Sometimes it's like it's me. What's the character? Blah blah blah. If I'm not doing a voice or an accent or something, like Sacha Baron Cohen, it's always an extreme choice in terms of the voice and the accent and the costume. But yeah, you wanted to have more substance and just like because kind of anyone, it's like anyone. It's just audacity to be like, have you been pegged? You know what I mean? It's just like
no, the way you do it is like you're
But
this,
it's
like,
like-
you're this shy, innocent, likable guy. Well, like just like what about paying? Like you're just like, but you're curious about disgusting things. That's the funniest thing about it. You're approaching it like this, like innocent little boy. Hi, Dr. Cornel West. Like, would you rather be that's the character. I sort of get what it is, and that's what's so like unassuming and like you can approach people and then like. I don't know. Can I have a hug? It's too good.
Do you think Nathan Fielder inspires
yeah,
you
that's
at all?
another. That's the more those.
When
those
you
are the
said that,
shows.
that's what I thought of.
Yeah, those are the
Exactly.
shows. When it was like, 2 years from now, where you're like, all right, how do you make that show?
Right.
But it has to be my version.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I realized when we were, shooting a video recently, which is like we have to experiment, but like we have to find what's unique about what we're doing, even though we're modeling and copying so many people, and there's this great template for it. But also, I think for it something to really catch on, it has to be unique, and that could be in the way you do it or whatever.
What's admirable is also like a lot of the sort of politically driven street guys who troll, like
Yeah.
their main objective is to make the person, the subject, look stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
And then say, ha, that's a win. We owned a lib or we
Yeah.
exposed a Trumpy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in what you're doing is just like, let's all play in this silliness for a little bit.
Absurdity.
And like, we all can
Yeah.
win here and have a fun time.
Yeah.
And just like break out of this like binary mold that we
Yeah.
like, this theater that we play in. Because, you know, that's what's so cringe about a lot of like the conservative comedians who go out into the street to make somebody look dumb.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not. It's like you think you're just being funny, but you're really just trying to
Yeah.
like intellectually have the high ground. So your goal isn't comedy, even though you're saying I'm a comedian or whatever.
Right,
You know,
right,
so I think what you're doing is
Do you
much
guys
more
find yourself to be very political people?
me more than you.
I'm
right?
not political. I'm not political at all.
Yeah.
I'm and that's why I like your stuff a lot. Also, Ami's, I'd say, very political.
What do you mean by political? Like politically opinionated, or
Not even opinionated. I don't know what all I'm getting at is it's very interesting. Like, do you think it's primary identity for you? Your political affiliations.
at one time I was very into it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like at one time I was very into like I like ideas, I like deep conversations about that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. I read a lot of economics, libertarian economic
Sure,
stuff,
yeah,
Milton
yeah.
Friedman, Thomas Sowell. So that was
Yeah.
I have that curious side.
Yeah.
But I think it's as an identity, that's where it gets icky. Like
Yeah.
I actually most of my friends and socially like are probably center, slightly left of center,
Yeah.
more liberal temperament, like conservative temperament.
Yeah.
Even though I'm more right of center, probably on like
Yeah.
policy
Mm-hmm.
or libertarian on policy.
Yeah.
Like people who are too into that aren't like fun.
Yeah.
They're like, I think it's just ridiculous. Like, you know, smoking weed is ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
like for me, like because I'm an artist and creative. Like I sort of am
Yeah.
split in different worlds, and I'm
But
much
it's
more.
cool to have a different, political perspective. You know, that
Yeah,
adds-
and I always
that-
like talking to people
that
with-
adds
with-
a color, to
I don't
to
like the
your
echo
work.
chamber of like everyone just like nodding along with each other and reinforcing. I always
Yeah.
prefer a little more of a.
I've
I found my
yeah.
friends are not aligned with me fully.
I've always seen the theater in it, and you've seen it less, I think. The theater of like the talk shows and all that.
Sure.
Like that's all I see it just as a TV show, and you.
I see it more as that now
Yeah.
than I used to. The confirmation bias stuff. And I actually can spot it much more now when people are just kind of reinforcing their echo chambers and are afraid to like actually consider what the other person's saying because they think about what am I supposed to say to that point? Like I know there's
Yeah.
something I'm supposed to say because I know there's a Republican or conservative response to that liberal talking point.
Yeah.
And over time, as I've gotten older, I've been like, well, what is the point? Like, and considered it in a way as opposed to like, when they say this, you say this. When they talk about housing, this is the answer. Now, I might still hold the same positions, but temperamentally, I'm more open. Like the conversations are more genuine that I like to have, and I think that I owe that to like a Joe Rogan influence on my life.
Yeah, he's a great. Yeah.
You know, because it used to be like a Bill Maher, like people who had like conversations publicly as a form of entertainment. Like
Yeah.
there weren't too many. Like I think Joe Rogan broke the mold on like I can have like genuine conversations with anybody.
And he's very curious too,
Yeah.
which people really I think respond to.
And then when someone's talking, he's like actually listening
Yeah,
without
yeah.
this agenda. And that was one of the first like the fact that he got huge and had an influence
Yeah.
on me. I'm like, oh wow, okay, you know what? I wouldn't have responded that way, but
Yeah.
he's doing that, and it's actually a much more fruitful, real conversation than like I found that back in the day, political conversations I would get into with people just kind of end.
Yeah, well,
They would get to here,
yeah.
and they would be like, anyway, so that's what I think. And people would be like, all right. Like I didn't feel great about them, even though I felt right.
I was a huge arguer in high school.
You were.
My friend ran into me. He's like, if I needed anyone to debate someone, but I would just always play devil's advocate. You know what I mean? But be very passionate.
Where are you at politically?
Yeah.
Very passionate. I'm probably pretty center. You know, my biggest thing about politics though is how much or anything in the news. What does this actually affect in my day-to-day life?
Mm-hmm.
And it's breathing. Like in New York, the only thing I can think of, like, okay, there's 200 migrants. It's like taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But even between the parties, it seems like taxes, they're not so different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I guess in the long run, I don't want society, I definitely believe in like free market for sure.
Sweet.
Like free market,
Well, I will say, as you get older, like
yeah.
local politics is much more consequential than global or state national politics. Like
Yeah.
your city and what they decide to do
Like,
affects you.
whether or not you can
if
put,
the street
whether or not you
isn't
can put
paved,
hedges on, yeah.
so you can be more like Democrat leaning And like, because you're voting at a very local level of like what the school, like what the street should be, and that actually affects you. And then people get caught up in the issues and the abstractions of bigger politics. For me, I'm much more principles guy. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize that everything you talk about politically involves at some level forcing other people to do something that you would like done.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks of it like that, but it's
That's
true.
Interesting.
The world of outside of voluntary exchanges that we all do, like I'm trying to convince you to buy something for me, to come to one of my shows, or to interact with me socially, interpersonally, that's all voluntary. And as much of that as possible that we can have in life, I prefer. Because everyone talks about politics as if it's just another decision to make. But people forget that underlying politics is force. Like, we have to vote on something. What that means is we're all deciding what everybody should do, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
I think we should fund this. I think there should be more funding for this. What do you mean there should be more funding? What's the there? Where's that money? It comes from other people's pockets. You can't do something inherently that good with other people's money, and that's my libertarian brain going off. I'm like, you're all forgetting, like, don't you think there should be funding for this? There's like there should be funding for this?
Yeah.
From who? From where? Oh, it has to be taken from somebody. And that's where I always took issue, that like instinctually, the temperamentally for me, I'm like, well, no one's being honest with themselves about that. They don't want to face what that is. But
what do you watch? You know, like who do you listen to in the center?
Or,
when you're being serious.
Yeah.
No, I actually really don't listen to anything political related. Like I'll read the Wall Street Journal, you know, but just to kind of know what's going on. I listen to the Red Scare podcast. I don't know if you know them.
Alex Jones.
I love them. I actually love them because
like
it's just fun, you know, and they're the funniest people out there.
Can you tell the difference between their voices? I can't tell who's talking.
Yeah, definitely. I put in the hours.
Oh yeah.
So
where do you think the crazy is on this? Like, I feel like every generation, like between the left, right, center, like wherever the craziest, disproportionate amount of crazy is, the way I see it, and I'm biased, but it seems like on the left, there's more, like, the crazies out of, like, at one time, like in the 50s, 60s, whatever, you had like conservative crazy, like censorship, video games are bad, we need to control people's sex lives and social lives, and it was that Christian sort of oppressive crazy, and when you went more left, you got more free, maybe we disagreed on certain things, but free speech, let people live and let live, that was more towards the left. We did it? It's okay.
No,
it was more towards the left,
Yeah.
and now it seems like a lot of just where's the crazy, where's the sensible? Not left and right, but crazy and sensible. It seems like the left has a disproportionate amount of that than it ever did, and the new sensible is sort of a center right sort of place.
Yeah, since October 7th, I've gotten more right than I ever have been before. Did you see that article, The Golden Age of Jews in America is over in the Atlantic? I want to talk to the writer. Really scary.
Because we get to read it, right? That's the problem. I couldn't.
Yeah. It's like the pictures of the letters we're talking about. Right. Yeah, Ami doesn't read.
I read, but I'm slow. But we make fun.
No,
of
but it was really scary.
Yeah,
I mean, he went through. He went through like on the left how scary it's gotten in Berkeley and San Francisco, basically.
Yeah.
No, it's another. I mean, I would say that. It's also like, because I feel like in the 60s, right, the mainstream was more conservative, whereas like the people that were protesting the war, that was fringe, and then the pendulum always swings, I think, and I think now, the media's all, mainly except for Fox is controlled by the left. So and just being in college and recently with that play, I also realized
where were you in college, by the way?
I went to Dartmouth.
Okay.
Which wasn't the most liberal school. It's known to be a little slightly more balanced.
It's in the middle of nowhere, right?
Middle of nowhere, yeah. Hanover, New Hampshire, yeah.
But it's in New England. Dartmouth. It's New England. They have New England accents up there?
Yeah, they got,
Not Dartmouth? You're going to Dartmouth?
There's a lot of people from Boston that live there, but I don't know.
Is that it? That's not.
No, that's not just
not
Boston.
the thing.
What?
Yeah. That's not the Dartmouth thing.
They don't say Dartmouth. It's an educational institution, so probably everyone has nice
people from everywhere. Yeah.
No, it's like super like preppy New England old school Ivy League.
Classic like
it's
preppy.
Ivy League.
It's like a boarding.
It's not like Somerville.
It's like a boarding school college.
I got you.
Yeah.
Very classic.
Can I ask you a question as one of, if not, I think this might be the first episode we're releasing with a not Jewish man or a woman. We had
so I may get cut
with a gentile.
A gentile. Sorry.
He's a monster.
We'll bleep that out. No, but have you?
I'm trying to think. You're the first non-Jewish guest.
First non-Jewish person I've met, I think.
In your
Yeah.
life. Yeah,
So
wow.
real.
That's stepped in this house.
Do you have any thoughts on anti-Semitism as you? And again, we don't have to keep this part in if it gets weird.
for
But
sure.
like, I'm curious to hear.
Oh, the impartial perspective.
Yeah, the impartial perspective. Have someone who's been to both rallies and kind of has seen the whole thing 360. Do you think about that at all? Do you have
You're
any
so
thoughts
tall.
on it?
Yeah.
Do I think about anti-Semitism?
Yeah, because it's something we think about all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. I love it. No, please cut that.
That's fine. We know Jews can take jokes. Jews can take jokes.
No, I mean, growing up in sort of LA and New York, I obviously grew up around a ton of Jews. I mean, it's definitely, throughout the years, like, racism and anti-Semitism, anything like discrimination, just being a Catholic white dude is not something that, you ever feel like. So
You ever feel towards you?
I don't have a full, you never feel, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I've someone, but
We don't like
if
Catholics.
even if someone in the video is like, "Get your white ass out of here," it's like people be like, "That's racism too," but I'm just like, I don't even want to engage in that dialogue at all, So I think that, I mean, it's terrible to see, I mean, obviously online seeing people so negative, but I do remember in college, I will say this, and I don't know if I want this included, but I do remember in college people really at Dartmouth being like, I'm a regular victim of anti-Semitism, and I did find that it was hard to understand because I felt like there's quarter Jewish here, it's hard to understand from the outside to be like what that would be like, or I wasn't aware of that,
That Jews experience anti-Semitism?
like on a Dartmouth college campus, that it was like a huge deal.
Was it in the context of an Israel conversation? Or
I might have been
curious.
no, but just in general, no, it was just in the context of like I experienced anti-Semitism regularly, and I was like, wow, I've never observed that personally.
Oh, I never make that
before
claim.
October 7th, it's not something I thought was even real anymore. Honestly,
Yeah,
that's how I've been feeling about it.
I mean, what I think about it generally though is any time one group greatly outperforms their share of the majority, people become resentful. Like, Jews are mad successful, like absurdly so, and like that's going to cause resentment, which is messed up.
It's true of any kind of
the
minority.
same as like the Han Chinese. I think it's in the Philippines. I remember reading, that kind of
Chinese in Malaysia too. They're super resented.
That kind of logic. So I think that's fundamentally where a lot of it stems from. You know? But
I think we grew up in the culture of like. My grandparents are all Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
So like I didn't personally experience it growing up. I grew up in the era of like reconciliation for the past trauma of the worst displays of anti-Semitism that existed for generations. That trickled down to sort of my parents, who grew up in an entire community of people where grandparents didn't exist because they were all dead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just this strange, like no one had grandparents. It's like a weird thing as children.
Yeah.
It's only one parent who had just arrived and sole survivors of their family in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And then you had this ambitious generation that were like growing up working class, lower middle class, wanting to pull themselves up and have like this redemption mentality of pulling themselves up. And then that, in my generation, it was sort of a golden age when we grew up of like tolerance and Holocaust education and re-education to never again, this will never happen again, we will and then with Israel and anti-Israel hostility, that sort of allowed for this sort of way to let anti-Semitism creep back in. I think now we're at this place, I feel like racism flat out is just like coming back. And not in the hysterical, like in the Trump era, people would say, look, white supremacists are everywhere, they're abound. And I'm like, listen, Jews will not replace us tiki torch people. They're not good. They're very bad, but they're not ascendant in the culture. Like you don't have shows on Disney Plus. I've said this before, but like you don't have media shows on like mainstream media networks talking about white supremacy. So it's like, that's bad, but it's very fringe to me and marginal. But on the far left, when you see it, especially in the form of hostility towards Israel, and now this like that paired with like what Kanye sort of broke the Overton window of what you could just say about Jews and get away with it, is really. That's the sort of anti-Semitism I'm feeling, where people can feel like they can just get on Twitter now and say anything they want about Jews, and there's hatred now coming from all directions.
Did you see Mr. and Mrs. Smith? I'm going to tie it into this.
Please
the show on Prime on Amazon?
Not the show.
No,
I saw the movie.
Yeah, so well, it's a show
spin-off.
based on, but Donald Glover made it with this person, Francesca Sloan. And there was this character, they walk into a bodega, and they need to charge their phone because it's dead, and they're hunting like a target, but they're tracking them, but the phone's dead, they really need to charge it. but the bodega owner won't let them charge it.
Okay.
And like, who's the bodega owner? He's Dave Attell with a big yarmulke on his head, not letting them charge it for no reason.
And David Tell looks like a propaganda poster.
It looks like a
of Jews.
propaganda, yeah. And then they figure out some way where if he gets money, he'll let them charge it. And so finally he lets them charge it for money.
Okay.
And he's playing this ridiculously caricature of a Jew. Is David Tell even Jewish? I don't know. Yeah. Have you ever seen a Jewish bodega owner? Like, the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was so, and like before October 7th, I might have just kind of like let it slide. It was so like over the top to me.
Overt
Like, you don't have one Jew in that writer's room that can, like, first of all, make it feel grounded or real, and second of all, how does this even like get past like all the people?
That's weird. But I mean,
but I was thinking like the Donald Glover Kanye hip hop connection. Like I feel like that came from his like his point of view a little bit, and I think it's a little bit messed up. But I do feel like Kanye opened the door for characters like that to be shown on TV. Even
interesting. Well, Lionel, what you
That's all I
like
wanna
the
say.
classmate that you talk about, I don't know his or her experience of what they were referring to.
Yeah.
But I did not experience much of that. We grew up in a very like, very sheltered and also like grateful to be like a comfortable life of like people didn't experience hostility really. But I do think in the past, I don't know, 5 years, especially as like, it all started with like sort of this idea, like you could say anything about white people. Yeah. And I know you don't take it personally. I get it, because to identify whiteness as your primary identifier in some sort of proud way is a weird thing.
Yeah.
That's not the company you want to keep. People who are proud to be white.
I mean, whatever. I mean, you should be proud of who you are,
who you are, but like the immutable characteristic of race.
Yeah,
I don't think for anybody, white,
Yeah.
any color,
Yeah.
should not really be something. I feel like that's a strange, arbitrary thing to like grab onto. Culture, community, religion, those kind of things are much more substantive and real than your skin color. But the point I'm saying is, in the past couple of years, being able to like say whatever you want about. Being able to make a racist statement as long as it's like anti-white is like is the first thing I saw. Like getting on Twitter and saying, "I want a white genocide. We should kill all white people." You could just do that. You could be a professor at a school and you could just say that, and everyone's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm cool with it." And the second you do that, then it starts to creep in. Then you start to say, "Okay, now who can we call white in order to justify saying the worst things about them? Let's call Jews white." You're starting to see that now too, where it's like, if we can say the worst thing about white people, let's just apply whiteness to things that we hate or detest.
Yeah.
And then that's your cover for anti-Semitism. And then the weirdest thing is the white supremacist version of anti-Semitism comes from Kanye West when he gets out there saying that, like, I love Hitler and all these things. And everyone's like, oh, it is appalling. Yeah, he loses his brand deals and now he has the best-selling record and he's out there selling out places.
Yeah.
It makes you uncomfortable to think like, not Kanye just saying what he wants to say, but the fact that so many people are agreeing with it. Kanye speaks truth. They're trying to shut him down. Kanye speaks facts. And this is like this old historical anti-Semitism that I mentioned that we grew up with seems to be like.
And do you feel like it must be,
back.
and it has to be programmed that's very understandably at some level in the psyche, the Jewish psyche, where it's
where you're like, just be careful, be careful.
Yeah.
No, because in Germany and all that stuff, it was like a civilized society that everyone was educated in and assimilated with. Jews were professors and doctors, and it wasn't like some third world like backward society that stumbled into the Holocaust. So you were always raised with this like a little alarm bell, like this little like keep your antennas up. And I was like, oh, I was one of those too. Like Michael's saying, stop, it's not. We're in America, please. Then post October 7th, you just start seeing this unapologetic version of it.
In your circles, is this conversation even like a little bit taboo? Like,
this is not a conversation I would. What conversation?
Like in my circles, talking about anti-Semitism is like totally acceptable.
Yeah.
As like, but I could also see if you're in another circle being like, oh God, like they're talking about this like anti-Semitism, which is like justifying a genocide in Gaza. Like this is like really like not where I want to be. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, first of all, I don't really have. I've been able to really have friends where I can talk about anything with and like laugh, and you can kind of you want your friends so you can say anything, even the dark, because we all have our dark shadow thoughts, ideas, and selves, and so having people. No, I don't think anti-Semitism, but I will say this is like. If I were to talk about it, I'd always be down to talk about it. But it's same as when someone's talking about any kind of racism. There's something like, comes from, how do I want to say this?
Say it however you want.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's like
Lionel's a good guy.
I'm a good guy.
And whatever
Don't
he
kill
says
me,
is
please.
just language.
Don't kill
Forgive
me.
him
Thank
in
you.
advance. I don't care.
Thank you. No, it'd be the same thing. It's like there is an inherent reaction when someone, for me, which sometimes it's like when someone's claiming persecution, however valid it is, whether it's a black experience or something like.
Yeah, you roll your eyes a little bit.
Like, not completely. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? There's
I have it too. You're like,
there's something
what?
like like colonization or whatever. It's like, oh god, like.
I guess maybe the reason
I'm with that, except for Jews.
But that's not. But that's not saying it. I mean, that's not saying it because I see my friends. There's it's hard to see the full picture when I'm like, it seems like the friends that would bring that up are like very successful. They have great lives. So I'm like,
really?
No,
complaining. We call it. What are you kvetching for?
Well, the reason I brought it up, I think maybe subconsciously, which I didn't even realize, is I want to express to you a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
As two Jews who like I think are like normal people.
Yeah.
Like it does feel very real to us. At the
No,
moment.
and that's
maybe that's
I'm
what I'm
sure
trying
What are you
to.
trying to say?
Maybe in a way I'm trying to express
We're
that.
not normal, Lionel.
Maybe I'm trying to express that a little bit.
Have you? And
out
is this?
loud,
Have
yeah.
you? And is this? It feels very.
No, is that crazy?
No, that's fair if that's what you're going for.
I don't think that's what I was going for, but maybe that was the
I took it to say
inspiration
like
for
we
it.
talk to so many people in our world constantly, and it is insular, and there is like an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Not just of people who agree on everything, but at least within a community, we kind of know how understand people think, and it's an opportunity to talk. You're like not only impartial as an entertainer and an artist, but just being able to observe it from a world from a position that we're not in. And
No, and I mean, Jews now have all the reason, both like now and historically, to feel, paranoid or whatever about the forces of society. But again, I don't have that generational sort of psyche and understanding of like we need to stick together or we need to be careful. It's just not a burden that was mine to.
Well, no Irish need apply. That was a while ago.
No Irish need, but it's like not, you know what I mean. But it's like it's still like. I mean, I'm an American.
Yeah.
Like the Irish isn't.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
No,
It's
but
not-
that's how we feel.
It's not a part of my identity.
That's how we'll feel, but I think lately I've been made to feel less like that and more like I'm
Is this
a
online or in person? Like broader society?
Online. I can't say in person I've had really any negative
because I speak out on behalf
Yeah.
of Israel a lot, I've taken on a fair amount of hate and grossness. Being called a pig and all these weird choices, and that's fine. I still am very grateful to not. I still think most people are good and all that kind of stuff. And I don't claim that we're in like a fundamentally racist society in any way. And yes, I did have that same reaction when like someone in the West, educated, upper middle class, having a job, having a college education, is claiming that they're the most oppressed people in the world and like life couldn't be worse. And this is the most racist society ever. I was always like, have a little perspective. Like, what are we talking about?
No, but I hear you. I mean,
but it's post October 7th. Yeah. What struck the Jewish community, me personally, was like, you mean to tell me that there could be a mass atrocity in the modern era? 1,200 Jews in Israel killed because they're Jews, not because of geography, like wanting to kill them because they're Jews, rape, murder, all these horrible things can happen. And instead of everyone saying we need to get these hostages out and organizing around the common humanity, like we need to like good against evil here, especially with Hamas, you have rallies across the West supporting not just Palestine, Hamas, and professors at our most elite institutions celebrating it or refusing to condemn it because it's controversial. I'm like, and this was sort of like, is that the world we're living in right now? Is that where we're in? And then the psyche thing you're talking about all of a sudden goes off. I used to wonder, like, how did the Holocaust happen to my grandparents? How did it just happen? How did people just like go along with this? But then you realize, if you dehumanize people enough and you call them colonizers and, Zionist, apartheid, white settler colonialists and dehumanize them, then you could justify all these atrocities against them and people will think they're being virtuous by doing so. I'm like, that's how it happens. So it's just this weird, unpleasant click that creates a certain angst. And it doesn't mean I walk around looking at everybody and thinking that, but certainly when I'm in Washington Square Park, right? If I'm there and I'm looking around and there's someone with purple hair, I'm like, you probably would rip down a poster or applaud it. That's a weird feeling, which I never had before October 7th.
And I did forgotten all that. It's like one moment when
Now tell us about the first poster you ripped down.
What? Was the college, do you condemn genocide? They're like, depends on the context. It's like, how could you be so...
You're talking about the trial? The
college presidents.
Right?
It's like, how could... Like, that's just when, like, all these languages get so... And then you're like, if it was a black person, it'd be
Of
immediately
course.
expelled.
The fact that
Yeah.
it's controversial to condemn
You
anti-Semitism,
know,
you're like,
I
is
mean,
that where we are?
You know, I think that was indicative of like the extent to which people really can lose their minds in these universities, which is my my experience. The sort of what Elon would call the kind of woke mind virus.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If you could say one thing to Claudine Gay, what would you say? No joke. You know.
Do you prefer to be itchy or
Do you peg?
do you prefer to be itchy or
Do you
sticky?
peg?
So yeah.
I think we made Lionel uncomfortable
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, Lionel, you feeling good? Everything things need to be redacted, or you feel good?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think.
How do you guys think I do?
You're doing great. You're doing.
You're good.
great.
No, it's funny to me that it's not.
Rabbi, let's
scary.
initiate
No,
him.
I'll be honest. It is all these conversations either side. It's so scary because both, you have you do have, the masses sort of for the pro-Palestinian, you could say, and you also have so many, like in the Hollywood entertainment business, so many successful people, and you don't want to, out of context, people can be like enemy. You know what I mean? If you get labeled in any way, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're an honest guy.
That's
You're
not
just
true.
saying.
I'm just doing the right thing.
I think the best thing you could do, the best, most constructive thing anyone could do is like sort of say how they're really processing everything in the moment and observing everything, and not try to pander to what you think we want to hear or they want to hear.
Yeah. No, I feel like I've been honest.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you had a completely different perspective than me,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
be like open to hearing it.
For sure.
like,
Well, that's
'cause
good to
you
know.
seem
No, but
like
I don't. I wouldn't say no. Fundamentally, I don't. And also, I mean, this is getting in the weeds. One of my perspectives is like the whole thing of like, is like Israel existing. Like it just does exist, and it's not like it just does. It exists there. Whether or not what can be an arrangement, how people can share it, I've no interest in adjudicating the matter. You know, but also so I do acknowledge like it exists. So the
It's
whole
a fait
language of like
accompli.
we want to go
exists.
back. I mean, it's same as America. People, all the decolonization of like land back. It's like someone I interviewed him. He's like, we need to destroy America. We need to destroy America. I was like, okay, where should we go? He's like, land back. He's like, we need to go back to out of the capitals and the chambers of commerce. Like literally that level of language. And so, that I also do believe like you got to deal with things from the present moment. And a lot of
That's your center moderate side talking. Let's be reasonable here. Like it exists. Countries exist for all sorts of regions on all sorts of grounds.
A lot of the dialogue, and yeah.
It's striking to the one thing, the insight for us. It's like there's a part of us in our experience, and it's not like personal, like daily on the street hostility. But when you look around at a situation based on what you're saying, the only country seem to be up for debate of whether it should exist or not is Israel. The only country that for some reason the world is going crazy about across the board is this country the size of New Jersey. And the only thing different about that country is that it's the Jewish state, the one Jewish state. People, for some reason. So I never like to assume what people are like. I think it's a cheap argument generally to say, oh, it's racism. Oh, it's anti-Semitism. That's a low resolution statement to throw at any issue. Oh, it must just be anti-Semitism. But then if you take yourself through this process when it comes to Israel, the world erupting from a state that is generally holds itself to pretty high standards as far as Western values, as far as like tolerance in Israel, like the West aligns with on a lot of ways. Like there's a gay pride parade in Tel Aviv. There's civil rights and gay rights and women's rights. There's all these things in this small little country in the Middle East, and yet the entire world goes crazy about it and seems to ignore all the atrocities committed by all sorts of much worse countries.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, that we ask, like it gives us pause to be like, what? And like debating its existence, like what's the deal? What's your guys' problem? Right. So like even from just the centrist point that you made, it's like you're like it exists just like anything else exists. So maybe there's things you could do going forward to improve a situation from a status quo. But why are you being so impractical here? Is it
yeah?
So I agree with you that like even just saying that is like
and the way I felt in the comedy,
reasonable.
The way I've felt in the comedy too with all this is like I do like I know a lot of people.
It's like, geez, someone interrupt me already.
Who's there? Who the issue is very important, but I do feel like it's interesting in this era, this of phones and whatnot that. There's also a conflict that's happening it's on the other coast of the country.
Yeah.
Or I mean across the world, sorry.
So the fact that people get so animated about it who are so far removed from it, for us as Jews here, we're like, just imagine if like the world decided to follow around one guy who's not the perfect guy, he's not the worst guy. He's like, he's all right, But if all of a sudden everyone just turned their attention to this guy and nitpicked every action he did at every time, at all time, and if he ever made a mistake, they went crazy. And there's all these other people around him who are far worse. That guy is our Israel. We're like, why do you care so much? You know, he doesn't.
Even America. I mean, the people would be like death to America, but I mean, America killed a lot of people in Iraq.
Yeah,
right?
talk about killing
way
like
more. I
a
mean,
Muslim,
that's
like Arab civilians.
I mean, like,
Right.
It's like in terms of numbers, you know. So yeah,
But yeah, I will say these people at Pally protests, like they hate America too. So
yeah.
But anyway,
All
let's move on.
Let's.
We're converting Lionel slowly. So I just want to ask in general about like the content creation
Sure.
space. We like to talk to when we speak to content creators just about the discipline of that work, because it all seems very silly, but it takes a lot of effort. That grind, I know it well. You know it. So like, can you speak to that a little bit about like how you approach? And we can kind of close on this. I think it's a good place to sort of.
Yeah, I got a loop experiment I want to try.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll wrap up on the loop.
Yeah.
We'll close on the loop. But the process of how you're looking at this now, like you're leaning into content creation, the funny stuff, the silly stuff. When you wake up and you have an agenda for the day or the week, like how does that work for you and how you get this stuff out?
I think that, you know, we have been like pretty events based for a lot of it. So it's like, whether it's a protest or, you know, a Trump rally or, you know, Anime Con or Comic Con, we found those are the best, you know. I'm just trying to think like this week, you know, we just did a 3-day shoot at, the Ethereum conference in Denver, which would be in partnership with this company. So it's may not end up being my content, like, depending on negotiations. So that will be, but so then it's shooting that, I think having like 4 or 5 shorts a week, like, you know, every other week putting out a long YouTube video, ideally.
Right.
But it's like Friday, you know, but like I was pretty tired after doing that video because it was like 3 days. It was like, it's going to be our first video with them. We want to make it the best thing we can.
It's going to be on your channels or it's
potentially, you know, it wouldn't be on our channel,
Okay.
but
either way, you're making
and part
a
of
whole
that too
batch.
is because it's like having producers, editors, marketers is like taking off the burden of like editing the shorts and doing the captions, you know. And
if you don't mind me asking, how did you attract the attention of bigger players? Was it fully organic?
Fully organic, which I really think like whether it's managers or, you know, for those young creators out there, you know.
No, like doing it on your phone first. You were just doing it, you and your roommate.
Yeah, roommate, and it's still what
was the name again? No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, it's so fundamentally. You can have a bigger player or whatever, but it's still up to you to make great stuff.
Yeah.
Or like in my case, it's like I gotta
be the engine.
And I was like feeling the pressure. I was like, wow, I gotta perform. And in this case, that'd be doing a video every week, you know, flying somewhere or something. But yeah, so we're very event based, and so searching Twitter for the events. But if not, it's like a concept. Like, all right, go up to people and be like, hey, are you a Taylor Swift fan? And then they're like, yeah, and you're like, all right, cut the interview. Like just do something like so dumb and stupid, or with the job interview.
He goes up to people, and then he looks like, and then they go, what? And you walk away.
Yeah, basically.
Every time he's like, you talk.
Yeah.
And like people get so like, did I say something wrong?
Yeah. So it's very event based, and I do try and get people now to be like, send me if you know there's like a sensitive event, like please send me. You know, let me know.
Send me out. Must be an Eric Andre fan too, yeah.
Yeah, Eric Andre. That's a good model.
Yeah.
You know.
Has anyone you look up to reached out to and been like, I see you?
I had a cool moment the other day when I was
Linda Sarsour.
I was docking my city bike, and this guy was like, "Hey man, like you're the dude that does the videos at the rallies or whatever." I was like, "Oh cool." I was like, you know, he had his hoodie on, walking his dog, and I was like, "Oh, I'm Lionel. What's your name?" He's like, "Andrew." I was like, "Wait, you're Andrew Schultz," and so that was cool.
Hey, we're big fans of that guy.
I love Andrew Schultz.
So that
would make me happy. That's a good day.
That was a cool moment.
You heard it here. Andrew has a dog.
So he just gave you a shout out in person.
In person, yeah.
Oh,
that's
great.
really cool. How'd that feel?
Felt good. I mean, I think with any of the sort of validation, it's validating and it's
fleeting.
Like, it's so fleeting, though. Yeah, it's so fleeting. It's like fun. Oh, cool story, you know. But it's all about
it's a sugar high. You're like,
it's all about doing. It's all about just continuing. Like my big thing when Instagram started working for me more was just that I was making stuff that we found really funny and really absurd. Yeah. Even if it's like, and even when I think about posting, I actually very intentionally try to not put too much time into the caption or anything like that, or just because I just believe fundamentally that overthinking it is lame.
But
It's just-
that's because you were having success with the videos.
No, but even my video that has even the video where I kissed an old lady, that's my most viewed video. But that's a good example. So for content creation, it was like, we're just gonna be a vegan protester for the day and just harass people at grocery stores. You know, just do everything from the. That's what's cool about doing a character for those videos is like you have their point of view.
Yeah.
So they're gonna want these things. You're gonna convince the old lady to become vegan. And so, but if you're not out there shooting for those hours, just like hustling through, you know, but you got to be willing to do it to have the moments of magic.
Right.
Going to an event is great because the likelihood of something like that happening is good. But like on Friday, we're probably I was like, we just got to go out in the cowboy character and we just got to like work on that perspective.
Sure.
It's a sunny day. I mean, winter's tough for that too, though, you know? So it's a
Indoor conferences.
but it's a sunny day. So it's like, we're going to go like, and that's for me being like, all right, I'm doing this YouTube internet thing, but like, I'm an actor. Like, even if it's a Sasha Baron going,
right,
well,
it's
like,
a craft. You were taking it as a craft.
taking it as
Absolutely.
a craft. But it's like, what could we do in a day? Like, let's tell the story, you know, and see what happens. So, but the editing burden, that's really the thing. That's the thing
grind,
that piles.
absolutely.
And you guys edit it yourselves?
Yeah, we've edited everything ourselves. So it would be nice to not have to do all of that for sure.
It sounds like you have a pretty intuitive grasp of social media strategy. Like, do you think that's just because you grew up with it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have a grasp. So you do learn things. Like I did a video recently where I was like, I was on the train platform. Like I jumped on the train tracks and you played in reverse. So it looks like you're going to get hit by the train.
Yeah, how did you do that? That freaked me out.
You just reverse the train. I'm just spilling all the beans.
No, but you looked like you were about to get hit. That was,
You just played in reverse.
Okay.
So the video's in reverse.
Oh, okay.
Someone hit me up though. They were like,
but you did go on the tracks for a second?
oh yeah.
Yeah, see, that would freak me out, even just to step there. Like,
But those are the kind of things, like even like as far as social media strategy, like I remember early on we had this manager reach out from a big company, and now I'm kind of souring that relationship for good. But it's like, but it was like, so you know we were getting success with Israel Palestine, but he's like, you know, like you're going to these things, but you're still coming across as a good guy, and you need to protect your image. And I'm
love
like,
manager talk.
and I'm like, protecting my image is not what's gonna get me anywhere. Like if I was protecting my image, once you think that way, it's different if you're really like, no, I want to be in this lane of like purely serious acting. But if you're gonna do it, it's like you had to trust.
Make great stuff.
Even on this podcast, it's like, oh, I'm gonna say these things, but it's like just trust that people will.
Yeah, and like, you know, the thing I was saying about like with Joel Haver, like this guy by going on TikTok is now starring in a movie that millions of people are probably gonna see.
Yeah, which is great.
Like, yeah, and he did that just by being himself.
And I
like,
love
trusting
having,
his
and I actually
instincts,
love
so.
having an audience too. I realize, like, I actually not just being like, oh, I made like a prestige indie film. Like, actually, I love connecting with the masses and like having like people commenting the same things on every video, and people, I do enjoy that. So
it's interesting what you say about like the technical thing about like not worrying about captions, thing, just the substance of the video. Just because like the Mr. Beast thing is like, you know, thumbnails are the most important thing, and first things first, like all the technicals.
and he's
of YouTube.
right for what he's doing.
Right.
He's right because he's like.
But in the shorts feed, yeah, it just pops up and it has to grab you.
Mr. Beast is, well, YouTube's, I mean, we haven't, I mean, I say that having not had success on YouTube. So that's like a, you know, that's.
Oh.
So big caveat, you know? No, I just mean literally on Instagram, my video that has the most views kissing an old lady, it's just protesters need more Riz, smiley face.
That's great.
Like crying, laughing face. And it's like, just to be
That's
like,
a great caption.
but it's good just to be in the, it's just good to be in the rhythm though of like, don't review it a million times.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just there's gonna be, rather than be like, this is the video, whether it's music or anything, there's such a tendency to be like, this is the thing that's gonna break me. But usually it's a lot of things and a lot of consistent. So getting pigeonholed, like the amount of times I've recorded a song, like this is the song, and it's not even a great song, but it just doesn't matter. You know?
And are you still seeing this old woman? Are things going well? Or
She's going, dude. Yeah, she. I wonder what she's up to. I mean, she was. I think she was a streetwalker. So you know.
Oh God, yeah. You're certainly committed. Well, the real big lie told some real big truth today on Ami's House, and we really appreciate you being here.
I want to try. Could we do a loop with Lionel asking his questions and then you looping them?
For sure.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
Let's do it.
Let's see if we can.
Like come up with maybe some ones you've been even too embarrassed to ask people.
Of course. So.
Check one,
I'm
two,
gonna,
two. Check 1, 2. Let's get it in the shot, Michael.
We're here with Lionel, the real big lie.
Where can people find you at?
The Real Big Lie on Instagram.
The real big lie on Instagram.
All
right, hold on, Michael. Fix this. All right.
So, what are we doing?
What's your vision?
Like, yeah, loop, but instead of you saying things into the mic,
Yeah,
Lionel
there we
will
go.
ask his question.
Cool. Say, I don't like that one. All right. You're up, Lionel.
Would you peg for peace?
it
Would
again.
you peg for peace? Would you peg for peace? Would you peg for peace? It's your stick for peace. Which would you rather would you peg for peace? It's your stick peg for peace. Yo, would you peg for peace? Yo, if you had to give me, would you rather give the first 80% or the last 20? What's it gonna be?
Give me that. What's it gonna be? Give me what's it gonna be.
What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be? Give me it. 1, 2.
What's it gonna be? 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 Would you peg for peace? Would you peg for peace? Would you peg for peace? Represent. What's it gonna be? On the pod, we were talking about politics, but my real take, y'all, and put this at the end, is that everyone should just peg everyone. Real take, y'all, and put this at the end. And if every world leader pegged each other, I swear we get further than what we're doing now. I mean that. And what you do is you take the hottest girl from each country, and they get to peg the world leader from the other country. What's it gonna be? Would you peg for peace? Would you peg for
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the real big lie in the house.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Peg for peace.
Thank you so much for being here.
Would you peg for peace?
We appreciate you.
Would you peg for
And
peace?
remember,
What's it gonna be?